Primetime News. Today is Friday, June 14th. I'm Leslie Palma. The Supreme Court has ruled on one of the two abortion-related cases the justices heard this term. That decision will be my top story. The fight is not over in Amarillo, where the city council voted down a proposal to declare the Texas Panhandle city a sanctuary for the unborn, but supporters of the designation still have one avenue to explore, a citywide vote. I'll have more on this and reaction from Mark Lee Dixon, architect of the Sanctuary Cities for the Unborn movement. Washington State is one of the most abortion-friendly states in the nation, but Governor Jay Inslee, perhaps just wanting to see his name in the news, has declared that emergency abortions will always be available in his state. I'll have more on this in Abortion in the News. North Dakota is taking a stand against octogenarians in Congress. Voters on Tuesday decided that candidates who would turn 81 by the end of their term may not run for the U.S. House or Senate. President Joe Biden is already 81, but the North Dakota vote has no bearing on the presidential race. Kevin Burke, a member of the pastoral team of Priests for Life, co-founder of Rachel's Vineyard and an expert on men and abortion loss, will share a special Father's Day message about the silence of Adam in the Garden of Eden. You won't want to miss it. In a unanimous decision, the U.S. Supreme Court yesterday said pro-life doctors who brought a lawsuit against the deadly abortion drug mifepristone did not have standing to sue. That means the drug may continue to be prescribed through 10 weeks, and we know it is being used later than that, and can be prescribed to women who have not seen a doctor and can be sent through the mail. Justice Brett Kavanaugh wrote the decision, saying that while plaintiffs have sincere legal, moral, ideological, and policy objections to elective abortion and to FDA's relaxed regulation of mifepristone, that does not mean they have a federal case. Justice Clarence Thomas wrote a concurring opinion. By dismissing the case, the court sidestepped having to rule on whether the FDA acted correctly when it lengthened how late into pregnancy mifepristone can be used, from 7 weeks to 10, and whether sending the drug through the mail should remain legal. This outcome was one that many in the pro-life movement feared, but the court did seem to leave the door open for people or organizations with better standing to bring suit against mifepristone. Priests for Life National Director Frank Pavone was in my office as we learned the decision Thursday morning, and I asked him for his reaction.
So, friends, we just heard from the Supreme Court a few moments ago that this case about chemical abortion, well, the justices decided unanimously that the doctors who brought the case did not have standing. Now, that's a technical legal term. It means this: you've got to be injured in some way to come to a court with a dispute. And they said that these doctors, they were not prescribing these chemical abortions. They were not told to do or not to do something by the FDA. Listen, the justices made their decision in that way, on that basis. But don't let anybody say to you from the pro-abortion side, oh, you see, we were right, we did everything right. The FDA did not do everything right. They were wrong in taking away the health and safety restrictions about these powerful, chemical, dangerous abortion drugs. And we will continue to press that point. We will continue to advocate for the many mothers that are being harmed and even killed through chemical abortion, not to mention the countless babies that are being killed. This doesn't resolve this case, and we will continue to press forward with it.
After a 6-hour hearing that heard testimony from 25 people, the Amarillo City Council on Tuesday voted 4-1 against an ordinance that would have declared the Texas Panhandle city a sanctuary for the unborn. The vote was the latest salvo in a battle that has been raging for months in the city of just over 200,000, and the battle might not be over yet. The ordinance would have made it illegal to travel on city roads to bring pregnant women out of state for abortions. Supporters say it would prevent underage girls from being trafficked across state lines for abortion. Opponents, including Amarillo Mayor Cole Stanley, said they did not think the city had the legal ability to enforce the law. Community members and at least one council member were concerned that the ordinance would hurt businesses and prevent other businesses from setting up shop in Amarillo. But Mark Lee Dixon, founder of the Sanctuary Cities for the Unborn movement, said he and other supporters of the ordinance worked hard to allay the fears of the community and the council, and felt betrayed by some council members who supported the proposal while campaigning, only to turn against it when the time finally came for a vote. In a Facebook post after Tuesday's vote, Dixon wrote, "Never in all of Texas have I seen such a concentrated and organized amount of pro-abortion opposition and a mayor and city council so controlled by that opposition. When the leadership of a city starts using the exact same phrases of the pro-aborts, that is a real problem. The city of Amarillo is being taken over by people who do not represent the conservative pro-life beliefs and values of Texas," Dixon continued. "This fight is far from over." Supporters of the ordinance have 18 days to decide if they want to ask the council to put the ordinance before city voters in November. According to the Amarillo Pioneer, the Sanctuary City Ordinance would be one of several proposed amendments to the Amarillo City Charter that are expected to be on the ballot. 69 cities and counties in the nation have declared themselves sanctuaries for the unborn. To see where they are, go to sanctuarycitiesfortheunborn.org. Massachusetts has launched a full-scale attack against pregnancy resource centers, funded by a $1 million grant from the state legislature. Catholic Vote reported that the campaign was officially launched on Monday by Democrat Governor Maura Healey and Lieutenant Governor Kim Driscoll. Attorney General Andrea Joy Campbell and Secretary of Health and Human Services Kate Walsh, both Democrats, also support the effort. Ads will appear on social media, billboards, radio shows, and public transit. Created by the State Department of Public Health and the Reproductive Equity Now Foundation, the effort to damage the reputation of centers that offer real choices to moms facing unplanned pregnancies is believed to be the first of its kind in the nation. As if there were any doubt that abortion is available in Washington state, one-time Democratic presidential hopeful Governor Jay Inslee said the state will provide abortions if a mother's life or health are in jeopardy. Inslee said he wanted to get out ahead of a U.S. Supreme Court ruling on whether federal law supersedes state law in Idaho and would allow for emergency abortions. But you don't need to be having any kind of emergency to have an abortion in Washington, where abortion is legal until viability and no parental consent or even notification is necessary for minors. In preparation for another Supreme Court ruling, this one on the abortion drug mifepristone, Washington stockpiled a 3-year supply of the deadly drug and increased funding for abortion businesses. Turns out they should have saved the state taxpayers money, as the court cleared the way for mifepristone to remain on the market. This week's mainstream media freakout came courtesy of President Donald Trump's address to the Danbury Institute, a Christian advocacy organization that, as several news outlets reported, wants to abolish abortion. I read at least a dozen stories leading up to Monday's video address at the organization's Life and Liberty Forum in Indianapolis, and the tone that all of them took indicated that Trump had somehow just become pro-life and that his address to a pro-life group was cause for alarm. Biden's campaign said Trump, quote, loves campaigning with abortion ban extremists, and the Indiana Democratic Party accused Trump of, quote, doing the bidding of the most extreme anti-choice groups in the country. The media had a second chance to slam the former president with the coverage of the event itself, chiding Trump for not using the word abortion in his 2-minute video address. But he did call the procedure child sacrifice, which is both accurate and makes his meaning clear. Let's listen to what Trump actually said.
Hello to everyone at the Danbury Institute and to all of the wonderful pastors and faith leaders, very respected people, gathered for the Southern Baptist Convention annual meeting. That's a big deal. I want to thank each and every one of you for your tremendous devotion to God and to country and your tremendous support of me. And I hope I've earned it, because we've done things that nobody thought were possible to have gotten done. These are difficult times for our nation, and your work is so important. We can't afford to have anyone sit on the sidelines. Now is the time for us to all pull together and to stand up for our values and for our freedoms. And you just can't vote Democrat. They're against religion. They're against your religion in particular. You cannot vote for Democrats, and you have to get out and vote. We have to defend religious liberty, free speech, innocent life, and the heritage and tradition that built America into the greatest nation in the history of the world. But now we are, as you know, a declining nation. And I might add, we are a seriously declining nation. Seriously, and so sad. I know that each of you is protecting those values every day, and I hope we'll be defending them side by side for your next 4 years. These are going to be your years, because you're going to make a comeback like just about no other group. I know what's happening. I know where you're coming from and where you're going, and I'll be with you side by side. So again, thank you once again for everything you do, and you have to get out and vote. Our religious leaders have to get their incredible people that love them so much and respect them so much, have to get them out to vote. God bless you, and God bless America.
The New York Times reported this week that 171,000 women traveled out of their home states for abortion in 2023, with that total accounting for a fifth of all abortions in the U.S. Data from the Pro-Abortion Guttmacher Institute showed that 14,000 Texans headed west to New Mexico for abortions, while 12,000 women from Georgia and South Carolina went to North Carolina to end their babies' lives. 17,000 pregnant women from various southern states made the trip to Illinois and traveled home with empty wombs. For those of us working in pro-life, the numbers are a clear indication that we have more to do to change hearts and minds. Oregon Right to Life annually invites young people to submit original pro-life videos to a competition broken down by age. Mount Angel resident Mona Jager has reason to be proud. Her 10 grandchildren were featured in the winning entry in the 10 to 13-year-old category. Our family is really pro-life, Mona told me. Her son Louis, the cool uncle, wrote the script, but the kids did the rest. All of the children in the video, except one, are her grandchildren. We're very blessed, she told me. Here's the video.
Congratulations to you all for being selected as finalists in our 4th annual school drawing competition. Each of you sitting in this classroom today was nominated by your teacher to represent your grade level. Your drawings will be displayed in the school hall for the remainder of the year. As school principal, I have the honor of judging your excellent creations and choosing a winner. But before I make my final decision, does anyone know who drew this? It has no name or grade on it. So nobody knows who drew this? In that case, the winner of this year's competition will be from our 6th grade class. Congratulations, Vivian!
Please be sure to throw away any trash. Thank you all. The school day is over. You are free to leave.
What could be seen as a message to the current resident of the White House, voters in North Dakota on Tuesday voted in favor of a ballot measure that would bar anyone from running for Congress if they would turn 81 before the end of their term. Although he would not be impacted by the measure, Biden is 81. The measure passed with 61% of the vote, well beyond the 50% threshold needed, but it will not immediately apply to current office holders. All 3 members of Congress from North Dakota are in their 70s. Retire Congress North Dakota was led by the same political activist, Jared Hendricks, who led successful fights in 2022 to impose term limits on state lawmakers, including the governor. Speaking to PBS NewsHour, Hendricks said, "We do think that there's a lot of wisdom that comes with age, but of course there's a limit to where we all face a decline of some kind at some point. And so we wanted to try to find the right balance. We thought 80 was the balance." In a 1995 ruling, the U.S. Supreme Court said states cannot pass restrictions on representatives in the federal government beyond the limits set in the Constitution, so the North Dakota measure is likely to be challenged in court. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis has launched a new political action committee to fight statewide ballot proposals on abortion and marijuana. The Florida Freedom Fund, chaired by DeSantis' Chief of Staff James Uthmeyer, also will get involved in school board races. A spokeswoman for DeSantis said Florida Freedom Fund will champion candidates and issues that are central to preserving Floridians' freedom. 4 Republicans hoping to succeed Utah's Mitt Romney in the U.S. Senate had a chance to proclaim their pro-life bona fides in interviews with the Salt Lake Tribune. Representative John Curtis touted his 100% rating with Susan B. Anthony Pro-Life America and his votes in the House in favor of bills to protect pain-capable babies, to mandate emergency life-saving measures for babies who survive abortion, and to prohibit taxpayer funding for abortion. Trent Staggs, the Utah GOP's candidate, said, "I believe abortion is murder in the overwhelming majority of cases, and murder should be illegal federally." Entrepreneur Jason Walton said he would support a properly worded national constitutional amendment protecting the sanctity of life. And former Utah House Speaker Brad Wilson said he fought to pass the, quote, strongest pro-life protections anywhere in the country and would fight at the federal level to protect the unborn. The four will face off in a Senate primary on June 25th. The winner will challenge Democrat Caroline Gleich, an environmental activist, in November. Utah has not elected a Democrat to the U.S. Senate since 1970. After clinching the nomination to challenge Nevada Democrat Senator Jackie Rosen for her seat in the U.S. Senate, Republican Sam Brown is bending over backwards to prove he is not too pro-life for the state. He has vowed not to interfere with state law that allows abortion until 24 weeks and would not support a national abortion ban if one came up for a vote in the Senate. In response, Rosen's campaign released a video chiding Brown for a law passed in Texas in 2013 that protected babies from abortion at 20 weeks. Brown was a Texas resident at the time. While Republicans are hoping to win a majority in the Senate, pro-lifers have to contend with the fact that two candidates, Brown in Nevada and Larry Hogan in Maryland, have vowed to stay away from the abortion issue. A group calling itself Vote for Abortion kicked off its 2024 campaign last week with a bus tour of Phoenix, giving away $500,000 worth of morning-after abortifacients and period products. Actress Jodie Foster, who is openly gay and well past reproductive age, addressed a crowd gathered at the State House, saying everyone needs abortion, including, oddly, fertility patients. And that's political news in a nutshell. In the video you are about to see, Rachel's Vineyard co-founder Kevin Burke shares a special Father's Day message on men and abortion laws. In the silence of Adam in the Garden of Choice, Kevin takes us on a journey back to the first book of the Bible as we enter the primordial garden to take a fresh look at our first parents and their encounter with the serpent. What's the Garden of Eden have to do with fathers and abortion laws? Let's find out.
Hi, this is Kevin Burke of Rachel's Vineyard. I'd like to begin this Father's Day reflection on men and abortion laws by going back to the first book of the Bible as we enter the primordial Garden of Eden. What's the Garden of Eden have to do with fathers who were involved in some way with a past abortion? Well, let's take a closer look. You may have seen some medieval artwork that depicts this familiar story. We see Eve being tricked by the clever snake hanging from a branch in a tree as she eats the shiny apple of forbidden fruit, right? But a superficial understanding of the story can trivialize this encounter and minimize the frightening nature of Adam and Eve's deceiver. Scripture scholar Scott Hahn suggests that the word used in this passage from Genesis to depict the tempter snake, the Hebrew word nakash, is best translated as serpent. This same word nakash is used to describe Satan in the 12th chapter of the book of Revelation. With this understanding, Scott Hahn shares the following, quote, "We can see that Eve is being confronted and brutally intimidated by a dragon that is intent upon producing disobedience," close quote. Hahn then poses the following question. As you read through, and this is his quote, "As you read through the Genesis narrative, where the heck is Adam in all this? By the end of the narrative, you discover he's right by the woman because she just turns and gives him the fruit to eat," close quote. We often focus on the deception of the woman in this account and fail to look more closely at what Adam's silence tells us about this couple. Eve was confronted with a cunning and diabolical force that was taking advantage of her vulnerability without the support and protection of her partner, who was passive and silent in the face of the serpent's attack. I want to introduce you to a modern-day Eve and Adam, Sarah London and her partner Mark. In this story, which was published in Elite Daily, October 12, 2015, Sarah shares about the appointment to schedule her abortion. Quote, "I remember calling Mark after the appointment and telling him I was going through with the procedure. His sigh of relief broke my heart. I desperately wanted him to tell me not to do it, but that never came. I spoke with Mark the night before the appointment, and he told me he was leaving town. Already feeling agony and defeat, his words killed any spirit left telling me to be strong. That was it. I got out of bed, sat on the bathroom floor, and wept. I wept for this baby. I wept for what I was about to do, and I wept because my world was crashing. I knew that after that day, my life would never be the same. As we celebrate another Father's Day, I want to share a message of hope and healing to men who were involved in a past abortion or who were unable to prevent an abortion they did not want. The truth is, abortion has intimately touched your life as men, as fathers, and impacted your relationship with God. Listen to the voice of these fathers. They are members of the Silent No More Awareness campaign, and they felt called to publicly share their abortion testimony after going through a healing program. Steve shares, I realized how small a man I was because if I had gone with her that day, I probably would have realized what had happened. I would have seen how upset and how broken she was, taken her by the hand and said, let's get out of this place. Scott shares, I didn't defend the life of my own daughter based on misinformation, selfishness, fear, and shame. I let her die to an abortionist knife, and I died the same day. Miguel, I wonder what my son or daughter would have looked like today if I had stood up and been a man and fought for the life of my child. The voices of these men echo the suffering of Adam. Imagine Adam's anguish when he came to see the extent of the damage unleashed by his passivity in the garden, as Eve faced the serpent's temptation. Men who come to honestly assess their role in an abortion decision understand Adam's pain. A father's past abortion may be contributing to his struggles with drugs and alcohol, pornography, other kinds of sexual sin, anxiety, depression, anger management, issues at home, in the workplace, and challenges in marriage and family relationships. Perhaps you're a man with abortion in your past and you experience none of these symptoms. But now and then around Father's Day, perhaps another holiday, there's a nagging sense of shame, guilt surfaces, perhaps a struggle to trust that God has forgiven you. Keep in mind, you may be a father who understood from the moment you learned of the conception of your child that your vocation was to protect and provide for your son or daughter, no matter the circumstances of the conception. You tried to encourage your girlfriend, your partner, or spouse to accept the pregnancy and give life to your child. You offered ongoing emotional and financial support, yet for a variety of reasons, the mother decided to abort. This is devastating, a very serious emotional trauma. In my book on men and abortion, entitled Tears of the Fisherman, you can read about Jason, who shares his powerful story, the nightmare of being powerless to stop his partner's abortion, and his road to recovery and healing in Rachel's Vineyard. You can learn more about Tears of the Fisherman and get a copy of the book at tearsofthefisherman.com. Thankfully, friends, the Lord did not abandon the human family to the deception and lies of the devil. In Christ Jesus, we find the new Adam, who offered the ultimate act of sacrificial love. In abortion healing programs across the U.S. and around the world, fathers and mothers of aborted children discover not all is lost. They come to open their hearts to the love and mercy of the Lord and reconnect in love with God and their sons and daughters. When men step out of their comfort zone, they take a risk. When they reach out for the emotional, spiritual healing they need, they discover the great mercy and generosity of God. God will use your suffering and transform it to blessing and grace. So many men emerge from their abortion healing journey strengthened, renewed, restored in their vocations as loving fathers, spouses, friends, and workmates, and most importantly, disciples of Jesus Christ. What a blessing for our churches and communities if more men would embrace this adventure of healing and restoration in Christ. It would truly change the world. You can learn more about Rachel's Vineyard, their healing programs, at rachelsvineyard.org. You can find a zip code generated list of all abortion healing programs in your area by visiting abortionforgiveness.com. God bless you with his peace and with his healing. Take care, my friends.
Joining me on Pro-Life Primetime News, produced at Priest for Life headquarters in Titusville, Florida. If you like this show, please consider making a donation to prolifegift.org. These donations help fund all of our work here at Priest for Life, which enables us to continue educating, equipping, and activating God's people to end abortion. For all your pro-life news updates during the week, please follow us on X at Pro-Life News Show. And please make sure to tune into our other shows like Just Ask Janet and Praying for America. Go to endabortion.tv for the schedule. I'm Leslie Palma. Remember, life is the only choice.